Well, we did it. We've reached the end of our journey through the AI Security Training Needs Assessment. For this final capstone, we're going to take a step back and just admire the complete, powerful framework we've built together, one piece at a time. We've gone all the way from high-level strategy down to the nitty-gritty of individual learning plans. So now, let's retrace that path we took just to really lock in these concepts and get you fired up and ready for action. Every great project needs a solid foundation, right? So that's where we started. In chapters 1 and 2, we really focused on nailing down our why, the absolute critical need for this work, and our what, the big picture map for our entire assessment. Our very first move, back in chapter 1, was laying out this 5-phase framework. And this wasn't just some agenda, this was our strategic North Star. It made sure that every single thing we did, from analyzing the organization to defining the training scope, was all part of one cohesive, powerful plan. There in chapter 2, we really established the urgency behind it all. Remember this number? A huge 73% of organizations don't have formal AI usage policies. That highlighted a massive governance gap that this whole assessment process is designed to fix. And the problem, as we saw, went way deeper than just policy. We found that shadow AI was a major risk, with 61% of employees using unapproved tools. The takeaway was crystal clear. You just can't manage the risks you can't see, which is exactly why a systematic assessment like this is totally non-negotiable. Okay, so with our foundation rock solid, we rolled up our sleeves and jumped into the deep end of the analysis. Chapters 3, 4, and 5, that was the real heart of the assessment, where we learned the methods to go from these broad concerns to specific, actionable training needs. In chapter 3, we basically pulled out the microscope with the job task analysis. We learned that to really understand risk, you have to go way beyond job descriptions and systematically map every single point where a role touches AI. That's how you uncover the real security implications of how work actually gets done. So once we understood the tasks, chapter 4 showed us how to translate all that knowledge into the language of business: risk. We walked through a systematic method to not just spot threats, but to calculate clear risk levels that tell you exactly what to focus on first. No more guesswork. And this risk matrix, this was our secret weapon for making that happen. It's what lets you transform a messy, long list of potential problems into a simple visual guide. By plotting impact against likelihood, we could see in an instant which risks were critical, up in that top right corner, and demanded our immediate attention. Building on that, in chapter 5, we recognized that risk is definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. So we moved from that big picture view to deep dives into specific departments. Take HR, for example, where the risks are all about things like data privacy and hiring bias, totally different from the risks you'd find in, say, legal or finance. From there, our focus shifted again. The next stage of our journey was all about moving from that broader group analysis down to pinpointing the specific needs of individual employees. This is where it gets really tailored. The competency pyramid from chapter 6 was our model for doing this efficiently. The key insight here was that not everyone needs to be a PhD-level expert. This framework allowed us to figure out who just needs basic awareness versus who needs those advanced strategic skills, making sure our training resources were targeted and effective. Now, to place people on that pyramid correctly, we needed good data. In chapter 7, we learned that a single method is never enough. The real power comes from combining the broad numbers you get from surveys with the deep why insights you get from interviews and observations. That's how you build a complete, reliable picture of your training gaps. So in the final phase, we focused on putting it all together. Chapters 8, 9, and 10 were all about translating our deep analysis into a concrete, actionable plan that could actually win support and drive real change in the organization. In chapter 8, we moved from these abstract findings to concrete specifications. The key was creating a really comprehensive scope document. This step is what turns your training plan from a vague idea into a measurable blueprint for action. Even the most brilliant analysis is pretty much useless without support. That's why in Chapter 9, we mastered the art of building a compelling business case. We learned how to frame our findings in the language executives understand, risk and ROI, to get the buy-in and the resources we need to actually succeed. And in our final chapter, we pulled every single piece together into this 10-step path forward. This is it,
This is your ultimate checklist, taking you from day one of assembling your team all the way through deployment and refinement. It's the complete roadmap, ready for you to put into action tomorrow.
And that brings us to the end of our review. We've retraced every step and recapped the entire framework. Before we wrap up for good, it's really important that I share the following formal guidance with you. This tutorial, AI Security Training Needs Assessment Framework by Virtualization Options LLC, provides a guide for learning and development professionals on conducting AI security training needs assessments. The implementation of artificial intelligence varies by organization and poses unique security risks. Neglecting these issues can lead to regulatory penalties, financial losses, and reputational damage. As every organization has distinct needs, tailored training is essential to address specific risks and enhance productivity. The guidance offered may not apply universally and is provided without warranty. Therefore, customized training is developed through close collaboration with participation throughout an organization to identify their unique needs, priorities, and risks. And with that, we've done it. You've seen the risks, you've mastered the methodologies, and you have the complete roadmap in your hands. So, the only question that's left is the one you see right here. You have the framework. What's the very first step you're going to take tomorrow? Thanks so much for joining me on this journey,